Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share, and to comment. And if you're an old subscriber, thank you for stopping by. Please do comment on my videos. I totally appreciate your feedback. I want to know what you guys think about the stories that I share, and I also want to know your opinions about the questions that I ask. Like, I do ask a lot of questions in my videos, and I totally do appreciate your comments. So in today's story of real crimes, we are going to talk about a very controversial, again, subject, a very controversial case that happened in Zimbabwe. And unfortunately, there is a bit of politics in it. So if you are somebody who doesn't like to watch anything that has a bit of politics in it, I am so sorry. Do wait for the next video that might not have anything to do with politics. But this particular one has a bit of politics in it, right? So we are going to Gokwe. Yeah, Gokwe should be, which province is this? Is that Midlands province? Or is it a province on its own? I'm not very sure. But anyway, in the year 2009, in March, a man by the name Moses Chokuda was murdered. Yeah, in Gokwe. Now, that was like around Gokwe Center. Who killed Moses Chokuda and why? So Moses Chokuda was killed by Farai Machaya. Farai Machaya is in the former governor of Midlands Province, Governor Machaya. Yeah, so it was Farai and some 5 other people that actually killed Chokuda, and Moses Chokuda was only 30. By that time, Farai Machaya was 30, and his accomplices were Abel Maposa, 45, Ed Morgana, 27, both were Ghana, 25. These were brothers. And there was Obed Gari, 23, and Tiriva Shoma Mawodze, 25. And the last 2 were said to be belonging to there were some uniformed officers. I believe they were uniformed officers, probably they were from the army or something. So what happened is, one day, the son of Governor Machaya, that is Farai Machaya, went to his father's store, or maybe it was his store, and found that it had been broken into. So he and his accomplices took the guard on duty as well as another man, and they beat them up, trying to find out information about who had done this. So these 2 men implicated Moses Chokuda. That's how Moses comes into this whole picture. But not only was Moses implicated in this, but also Moses was a very well-known MDC activist in his neighborhood. So they went to pick him up, and they brought him to the store. They beat him up. It is alleged that they beat him up with iron bars, sticks, fists, boots. They kicked him. They did all sorts of things to him. And then they tied him to the back of a bakkie 4x4, and they started driving around, dragging him on the tarmac. And they left him. Like, yeah, that was terrible. So they left him, and somebody helped him to go to the hospital, and he died the following day. An autopsy that was done revealed that he had suffered a broken jaw and a broken spine. So this was ruled out as murder. All right. So the boys were gathered. They were arrested, and they went on to apply for bail. They were charged, and obviously they probably did not plead guilty. They were being represented by Maupa, that is from Kwekwe, a lawyer called Maupa. So he was representing the 6 men, and yeah, they were being kept in remand prison at Wawa. Eventually, in 2009, in the same 2009, they actually got bail. All right. Now, Tawengwa Chokuda, that is Moses' father, was really angered by the death of his son. He was only 30. He had just recently married, and he had a son, like a newborn son. His son was still very young. His father was really angered, and he said the way his son died was really painful. He described what he had been told by onlookers, that they beat him up, they dragged him they tied him up and dragged him on the tarmac from the back of a bakkie. Now that was painful, and he didn't want to bury his son. He refused to bury his son. Yeah, he said he wasn't going to bury his son. So what followed all this is what is like a mystery. It's like a movie, a Nigerian movie. So it is said Moses Chokuda was only buried in 2011. So in 2011, when I heard that this guy was being buried and this guy had died in 2009, I was like, somebody's not telling the truth. But yeah, after reading and doing some digging, it is true actually. So for those years, for over a year that he was sitting in a metal coffin in a mortuary at Gokwe Hospital, the first thing that happened is the police tried to force Tawengwa Chokuda to bury his son, and he refused. So they went ahead and they got an order, a court order, to bury him without the father's consent. It is said that when 10 men went to pick up the coffin to go and bury him, they could not lift it. They could not lift just a metal coffin with one body inside it. A whole 10 men could not do it. And then, secondly, the intelligence officers tried to go and bury him. And it is said that they were sprayed with fresh blood from his body, from Moses Chokuda's body. Yeah. A lot of stuff happened. The magistrate who is said to have given these men bail, they applied for bail and they got bail. So the person who, okay, there are actually two versions about which person went cuckoos. Some versions say the magistrate who gave an order to have him buried went cuckoos. The other version that I read says the magistrate who gave these guys bail went cuckoos. So I'm not sure which one went cuckoos, but there is a magistrate who actually lost his mental capacity and started eating out of trash cans. Yeah, a whole magistrate, a whole educated, a whole learned guy from this whole thing. So the other thing that happened while this body could not be buried was there are people that tried to, like I said, there were police officers that tried to bury him and they could not lift his body. It is also said that the mortuary attendant said on many occasions, probably Moses would get tired of sleeping in his coffin and he would get up and you'd see him sitting on top of his coffin. And he would actually talk. He would actually walk drunk women at night, walk them safely home. Children who walked home late into the night or maybe like it's getting dark, they would see him. He would walk with them and leave them safely at home. Drunk men, after they've had a night of drinking and they are struggling to get home, he was seen walking with them home just to make sure they get home safely. And it is also said that every morning he was seen herding cattle at the Machaya homestead. He would wake up in the morning and open the curtain crawl and just go and start herding the cattle outside. And this one, I didn't see it written anyway, but it was what I heard people saying, that his own father said they must make dinner for him every night. They must leave a plate of his dinner every single night for the 2 years. Yeah. So anyway, while this case was highly politicized, it was politicized because not only was a Machaya son involved, but also these Ghana boys, their father was highly linked to the ruling ZANU PF. So it was totally politicized. And yeah, so people were like, okay, these boys are just going to get away with this because of their connections, and also there were these military guys or uniformed forces that were involved in this issue. So people highly believed that they were going to get away with it, but they were not going to, because somebody was speaking from the metal coffin, not from his grave just yet, but from the metal coffin. So according to Tawengwa Chadoka, that is Moses' father, he said, you cannot fight an avenging spirit by going to court. You need to do the right thing. We are Africans. Yes, we have courts. Yes, we have the law. But we are Africans. And as Africans, we have ways of doing things. The same words were echoed by Chief Njelele, that they had to reach a compromise. They had to reach an agreement. Chief Njelele was caught between a hard rock and between a rock and a hard surface, because he says, first of all, he wanted Moses to be buried, but at the same time, he didn't want to tarnish the governor's image. So he was like in a very hard, he was actually like in a very tight spot. But he had to find a way of making the two families meet and discuss the way forward to make sure that, yes, as much as there's a court case happening, there is also the traditional way of doing things that will lead to the burial of Moses. So eventually, the two parties came to the table. They came to discuss. At first, like, a lot of people were involved, to the extent that even the Wayne Vudzigenas had something to say, the Chihuris had something to say, you know. But eventually, I think everybody came to an understanding that this is not a joke. Something has to be done. Somebody has to part with something. Initially, it was believed that Moses' father had demanded 70 cows, a virgin girl, and some money, just 20,000 US dollars or something like that. So he wanted a virgin girl to come and give birth to his son, sort of replace his son. Okay. Anyway, eventually Chief Njelele managed to set up a round table where Machaya brought his elder brother, and Chokuda brought in his own family members, and they discussed, and they eventually agreed on 35 herd of cows and 15,000 US dollars, as well as footing the funeral bill. That is food, the coffin, and everything that was to be paid for during the funeral. So before the funeral, arranging for the burial could be done, Governor Machaya sent 20 cows to the Chokuda family and paid 15,000 US dollars in cash. And he was given a list of all the requirements for the funeral. That was the only condition, that Chokuda was going to agree to bury his son after 2 years of sitting in a metal coffin in a mortuary. Anyway, so after all that time, I'm not sure whether it was before or after the burial, actually it was before, these guys were actually found guilty of murder. Okay, so Farai Machaya, Abel Maposa, Edmore Ghana, both were Ghana, were sentenced each to 18 years in prison for the murder of Moses Chokuda. The other two guys were actually given 12 months suspended sentence, because it is believed that they didn't take part in the actual activity that led to this guy's death. They were said to have just slapped him here and there, kicked him here and there, but they didn't do much. So they were given suspended sentences, and these are uniformed officers. So I don't know if that played any role at all, but yeah. That is the thing. So yeah, a lot has happened actually. A lot happened before this guy could be buried. Eventually, in 2011, people, like, all roads led to the Chokuda family homestead to bury a man who had been dead for 2 years and had been sitting in a coffin for 2 years. He didn't go, his body did not go bad. Apparently, from what I heard, he was actually still dripping fresh blood for 2 years. And for 2 years, he was seen going out to get these cows and, do take care of them because they were his. And for 2 years, he was seen, like, he would sit on his coffin in the mortuary. He would actually talk to the mortuary attendant. The mortuary attendant was saying that sometimes he would tell them things like, there's somebody who was killed in 2008 by these boys and he's buried at such and such a place. Apparently, there were people that actually were taken to places where they could find their relatives who had just disappeared. Remember 2008, there was a lot of violence that followed the first election before we had a runoff, before the rerun. There was a lot of violence that happened there. A lot of people were killed, and yeah. So apparently Moses knew, or this now Moses, the spiritual Moses, knew where these people were buried in shallow graves, and he would take relatives there and tell them where to find their people. Whew. Wow. Anyway, I understand these guys were being held at Wawa, and one of them actually died in custody when he was already serving his sentence. That is Abel. Abel was killed in 2011 by inmates. So it is said that inmates devised, these guys had just been arrested. They had a lot of counts on them, and they had just been arrested, and they tried to escape. They told Abel that he needed to come with them, and he refused to come with them. So they beat him up, and he died. You live by the gun, you die by the gun. You kill others by beating them up, you die by being beaten up. That is one. I'm not sure about what happened to the others, if they're still alive, but there was an article that I saw about one of the Machaya boys dying in an accident, and it is said to be a brother, not Farai, but a brother to Farai died in an accident. He died on the spot. Okay, I'm still doing some research to find out what happened to the others, because someone who was close to this whole thing told me that actually all the people that were involved in his murder have since died. They have all since died. They have all since met their fate. Because yes, as much as Machaya did his part of paying or appeasing the spirit, these other guys did not do anything. I'm not sure if they did anything. I didn't see any way it was said that they actually took part. Probably they did take part in arranging in paying for the funeral. Their families took part in that, I don't know. But I didn't see any way where it was said that they did anything. What I saw that was written in black and white is what Governor Machaya, or former Governor Machaya, did to go the traditional way, obviously, because yeah, we believe that mushonga wengozi kuiripa. If somebody kills somebody, they have to pay for it, not only just go through the legal system. If they don't do it the traditional way, then there's not going to be rest in that family, and then that spirit will probably haunt that family for the rest of their lives. The spirit might not destroy the person who actually murdered them, but will probably destroy generations and generations and generations, that kind of thing. So I'm sure Governor Machaya was just trying to make sure that he is protecting his family. I'm not sure about the other families. So what do you guys think? What do you think about avenging spirits? Do they really exist? Is it the devil manipulating a situation, or is it real? So it is said that Governor Machaya said that he accepted the sentence that his son and his friends were given in court. He also accepted the fact that he had to pay to do the traditional method of settling this, because he said we are Africans, we are black people. This is how we do things, and yeah, he had to do the right thing just to protect his own family. So, do you guys think this is real? Like, do you believe in Ngozi? Do you believe in avenging spirits? Do these things exist, or is it just somebody's manipulating something somewhere, or is it that someone is seeing things because they are feeling guilty, or is it coincidences that people end up dying like that, or is it they are attracting what they are thinking, so these things come to them? Do these things really exist? What are your thoughts? Ngozi dziriko here kunzoko? Mushonga wengozi kuuripa zvechokwadi here? What if I just go to prison and then come back? Ndaripa one, handina here kuripa. I've done my time. So yeah, guys, I really need to know your comments. I need to know what your thoughts are about Ngozi, and do you actually believe that this guy was doing it by himself, or the father was doing something to manipulate people into thinking that he was to manipulate people into seeing him? Do you think his spirit was there still somewhere? He had not gone anywhere. He was still hanging around for 2 years until he saw that his killers got what they deserved. I mean, is it practical, or is it somebody was manipulating something? I don't know, guys. I honestly just don't know. But what I know is we are black people. We have a culture and we have a way of doing things. And yeah, we need to respect those things. So yeah, do comment down below what you think, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is the story of the day about Moses Chokuda, who was buried 2 years later after he had been murdered for a crime that we don't know if he actually did it. I don't know if he actually broke into the store or he was just targeted. Right, guys, stay safe, stay blessed, and please do take care of yourselves. There is COVID out there. Take care of your families, take care of your loved ones. Above all, do your best to stay safe. And yeah, thank you for watching and be blessed. Goodbye.